Welcome to Crowd Europe News. These 7 EU countries now permit entry for British tourists. These 7 EU countries now permit entry for British tourists. The United Kingdom government surprised the world on June 23, 2016, when it voted to leave the European Union, the phenomenon also known as Brexit. After more than 3 years of discussion and political fractures, the UK officially left the EU on January 31, 2020, giving up many of its perks, but as the country claims winning sovereignty by cutting immigration and stopping payments to Brussels, as every member state is obliged to. However, 2 months later, the world entered full lockdowns and started imposing strict traveling restrictions due to the coronavirus pandemic outbreak. After over a year of minimal traveling, when the UK started opening its borders, India was suffering the worst day, with the biggest daily rise of coronavirus cases recorded in 2021. On March 24, 275 people died, and 47,262 were reported infected with the B.1.617 variant, a mutation of the COVID-19 virus, 50% more transmissible than the previous one. Although Prime Minister Boris Johnson banned travelers from India on April 19, over 20,000 people entered the country during the period the ban was discussed to be imposed. On May 13, Public Health England reported that 1,313 people were infected with the Indian variant of the virus, with almost half of the cases being related to the travelers, as mentioned earlier. According to the data published on the UK's official government website, about 77% of the British population, or 40,573,517, have received the first dose of the anti-COVID vaccine, and 53.6% of the population has been fully vaccinated, or 28.227,362 people. However, data shows that the number of COVID-19 infections has almost doubled during the last week, while the Indian variant cases continue increasing. Another 6,048 positive cases and 13 deaths were reported on June 8, whereas a week earlier, the UK marked its first day with 0 deaths since the coronavirus pandemic started and counted 3,165 positive cases. The World Health Organization reports that there are 5,584 positive cases reported in the last 24 hours and 1 death. As a protective measure against the further spread of the Indian variant of the virus, many countries have banned traveling from the UK, whereas other countries such as Denmark, Spain, Iceland, Italy, Cyprus and Portugal have granted permission for British travelers to enter their countries. The Faroe Islands, an autonomous Danish territory, and Gibraltar, a British overseas territory, also welcome UK travellers without quarantine requirements. Denmark. On June 4, Denmark announced that fully vaccinated British nationals are allowed to enter the country without undergoing quarantine or testing requirements. With effect from Saturday, June 5, 2021, at 16 vaccinated from OECD countries, including the United Kingdom and the United States, are equated with vaccinated from yellow third countries, with vaccinated from EU and Schengen countries, the statement of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs noted. The permit is only granted to travelers who have been vaccinated with one of the vaccines authorized by the European Medicines Agency, Janssen, Pfizer by BioNTech, Moderna and AstraZeneca by Oxford, administered at least 14 days before arrival. Ireland. Despite imposing some of the most stringent restrictions on its citizens during the lockdown due to the pandemic, Ireland has announced that starting on July 19, when the country intends to launch the EU's COVID-19 passport, all vaccinated travelers coming from the UK will be allowed to visit the country. Besides vaccinated travelers, Ireland will also allow free of restrictions entrance for travelers that recovered from the virus and for those that have tested negative for coronavirus in recent months. Spain. The Spanish government has ceased requiring British citizens to present COVID-19 test results or undergo self-isolation requirements from May 24, meaning that the holidaymakers are welcome to travel to Spain for their vacations. In a bid to revive tourism, which has been significantly affected by the pandemic, Spain has opened its borders for UK travellers who make up almost 2/3 of the total arrivals. We have opened the door, but now we need the support of the British government so that citizens can come without restrictions, Costa del Sol's head of tourism, Margarita del Cid, said. While in 2019, Spain was a traveling destination for more than 18 million British citizens, in 2020, the Malaga province reported that only 2.2 million people visited the place, accounting for €10 billion in losses in tourism. Greater than traveling to Spain for summer 2021. Here's what you need to know. Portugal. According to the Portuguese tourism website Visit Portugal, since May 17, Britons have been permitted to enter the country for essential and non-essential reasons by presenting a negative COVID-19 test result, which has to be taken 72 hours before they enter the country. Non-essential travelers from the UK are allowed to enter Portugal as of the 000 of May 17, but must present proof of a negative test for COVID-19, RT-PCR, carried out within 72 hours before boarding time, Portugal's authorities noted. For passengers that do not possess a test, a fine between €500 and €2,000 was warned to be issued. Italy. Since May 16, travelers from the UK who have been fully vaccinated against COVID-19 have been allowed to travel to Italy without undergoing any quarantine restrictions upon arrival. However, the requirement for the traveler to get tested prior to departure has remained effective. Our goal is to reopen Italy for tourism, domestic and international, Mario Draghi, Italy's Prime Minister, said after announcing the UK as a safe country to receive tourists. Greater than traveling to Italy this summer amid COVID. What you need to know before booking a trip. Cyprus. Travelers from the UK who want to visit Cyprus are eligible to do so without being subjected to quarantine requirements since April 26, when the regulation came into effect. However, the authorities' requirement for a negative PCR laboratory test taken 72 hours before reaching Cyprus remains. Iceland, the country, opened its door for British travelers on March 18, becoming among the first countries to allow traveling for individuals that have been vaccinated against COVID-19 with one of the World Health Organization or European Medicines Agency authorized vaccines. When persons are protected against the same virus, with the same vaccines that the same companies produce, there is no medical reason to discriminate based on the location where the jab is administered, Iceland's chief epidemiologist Thorolfur Gutnason said. If you like video then subscribe channel and share video. Thanks for watching.